Hi guys, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching this. Hello, welcome to my channel. I am Coach Dally, and today we're going to be breaking down 5 steps on how to achieve a dynamic burpee, an effective burpee, an efficient burpee, and to make your burpees a little bit more easier to complete. As a trainer, I always come across, whether it's a fellow athlete or one of my clients, that struggle a little bit with performing a burpee, right? And I just sometimes just a little tweak can help make the difference in how effective and how easy a burpee can be. I know nobody loves burpees. Nobody is a burpee enthusiast. Nobody is a burpee supporter. You know, people do hate burpees, right? But because a burpee is such a dynamic movement to do, because a burpee works the entire body, I feel like it's an essential part of my programming for my clients, an essential part of my programming for me. Learning how to do a burpee essentially makes you a better athlete. So I always say if there's something that you hate doing when you're working out, that's what you should actually be doing the most, right? So people hate burpees. I feel like the people who hate burpees the most should be doing multiple burpees a day because that's how you get over that lack of desire to complete a burpee. So step one, we're going to a common mistake that I actually see when it comes to burpee execution is starting a burpee with your legs closer than shoulder width apart. That's mistake number one, right? You always want to start a burpee either legs shoulder width apart or a little bit wider. I like to get really wide with my burpees, right? And I'll show you why in a second. So this is step one. Get wide with your burpees, making sure that you're planted, your heels are planted, you have enough room to kick back. This is essentially how you start your first movement for the burpee. Second movement for the burpee, you want to hinge at the hips and touch the floor, right? And the reason why I said I like to start wide, because with the wide stance, even if you're unable to touch your toes, this lowers the height for you to reach down and actually touch the floor. So you're able to plant your hands right on the floor. You want to make sure that your palms are planted on the floor. You never want to do a burpee on your fingertips, right? Because when you do a burpee on your fingertips, you're susceptible to injury with this, right? This is supporting your weight, right? And you want to be able to firmly support that with your palms on the mat, on the floor, wherever you're burpeeing, right? Common mistake I see with this movement is a lot of people like to start their burpees here, right? Right here, you're already setting yourself up for injury. With this position, once you drop down into a burpee or to that high plank, right? You see where your shoulders are stacked or your hands are stacked. They're stacked in a position that doesn't support your core and also leaves your shoulder up, susceptible to injury, right? You want to make sure every time you're in this high plank position that your hands are under your chest, right? So to get there, we have to just hinge at the hips, drop those hands closer to our bodies so that when we drop down, which is step three, and I'll break that down in a second, we are already in that stacked position, right? And fully supported. Now, step three is getting those legs to the back, right? You don't have to get them super close when you do a burpee, when you kick back, but making sure that your legs come closer together so that they're ready to come back out, right? You don't want to do a burpee where you're out here. Even though it wouldn't hurt you, I always like to, from here, get those legs a little closer together in the back and then come up with the burpee. Step four. In my programming, there's sometimes I have to do 150 burpees. Not at a time, but the entire workout will call for 150 burpees. When I hit 100, my arms are fatigued. There's certain techniques that kind of help you push through that fatigue, right? I'm going to break that down. For some people, it might be 10 burpees that get them to that point, 20 burpees that get them to that point. But wherever you feel that fatigue, if you're doing burpees in this manner, you'll be less fatigued when it gets to that point, okay? And what I want to show you guys is releasing the time under tension, releasing the negative when you're going in down into a full burpee push-up, right? So what I see mostly, and I've done this myself, this is not judgment or critique, what I see sometimes with going down on the burpee is that some people like to worm it out, right? So that time it takes you to worm it out, that's a negative. It might be a 2 second, 1 second negative, but that's still work that you're doing that you don't necessarily have to do to get down to that burpee, right? A lot of people sometimes they like to, right, do a negative push up into that before they come back up, right? That's work as well. What I want to show you guys is the drop method, right? You want to pancake, you want to flatten out on that mat, the floor, as quickly as possible to release the time and the tension, to release the negative from that drop down, okay? What that looks like is essentially going like this, right? Being a pancake, just dropping down immediately, setting yourself up to pop back up explosively, okay? So that's step number 4, dropping down without keeping that time under tension, right? Keeping that negative on there. Step 5, the pop up, right? When we're down there, we want to make sure that we're coming up with our knees outside of our elbows. A common mistake that I usually see on the pop up is that people are coming in with knees into elbows. With this, you are working so much harder to come back up. It's not explosive, it's not dynamic. When you're working with the plyometric movement, you want to be able to generate power as quickly as possible from the floor. That position does not allow you to do it, right? So when you're coming up from a burpee, what I want you guys to really focus on is coming up with your knees outside of your elbows, right? With this, you're able to plant your heels and explode up more efficiently. And what that looks like is this, right? You see that final position? From here, I literally can just stand up. I don't even have to push myself up, right? So that work that you're doing with your hands to push yourself up or walk yourself up with your elbows into your knees, you don't have to do in this position because you're already in a position that just lifts you up, right? So that's step 5 and the final step to executing a burpee. All right, guys, now that we've gone over the steps, what we're going to do now is actually cycle through 5 burpees so you guys can see what they really look like in a flow. I'm going to execute everything that I've taught today and allow you guys to see how more efficiently I move with the steps that I've just demonstrated today. All right, let's get it. 5 full burpees in 3, 2, 1. There you have it. 5 complete burpees in a flow. If you guys take the steps that I've taught you today, you should and will be able to execute 5 burpees with minimal fatigue. I'm not saying that you won't tire out, but this technique does help alleviate all the extra work, all the extra movements that you might be doing that are not necessary to execute on a burpee. So I really, really hope that this tutorial was beneficial for you and that you learned a thing or two about doing a proper burpee. Please like, share, and subscribe, especially if you made it this far in the video. And send it to somebody that might be struggling at the gym or somebody that might need a little bit of assistance on how to do a proper burpee. Again, I really hope that you enjoy this. Please let me know in the comments if there's any other movements that you want me to demo, and I'd be more than happy to do so. Till next time, don't forget to chase the challenge. Talk to you guys later. Bye.